wife, Za'Zell Preston, into the living room with sunglasses on her head, propped her body on the couch, and told his kids that she got drunk and ruined Christmas. On Christmas morning of 2011, William Wallace of Anaheim, California, watched his kids unwrap their gifts alongside his wife, Za'Zell Preston. The couple had just added a newborn son to their family 7 weeks prior, and the scene in their living room that morning appeared to be the very picture of Christmas bliss. But what the kids didn't know is that their father had beaten their mother to death the night before, then placed sunglasses on her face and sat her body on the couch to make it look like she was still alive. According to the Orange County Register, Wallace killed the 26-year-old mother of his 3 children in what was the culmination of years of domestic abuse. Now, after almost a decade behind bars, Wallace will finally go to trial, and the full story of this grisly crime is set to come out. On Christmas Eve, one neighbor overheard them arguing inside their apartment after attending a holiday party nearby. While the full details of what happened next have yet to come out in court, prosecutors have painted a disturbing picture of the events that followed on that Christmas morning. Wallace reportedly dragged his wife into the living room with sunglasses on her head, propped her body on the couch, and told his kids that she got drunk and ruined Christmas. Then the children began to open their presents, unaware that they were doing so right in front of their mother's corpse. But Wallace couldn't sustain the ruse for long, and by 9:30 a.m., he called 911 and innocently said his wife needed medical attention, though accounts differ as to who called. When paramedics arrived on the scene, her body was still there on the couch, sunglasses on her face. Wallace tried to talk his way out of it with a story about his wife accidentally injuring herself, but it didn't work. Soon the cops were on the scene, and he was under arrest. The prosecution's case paints a grim portrait of both what happened on Christmas 2011 and the years of abuse that led up to it. This Christmas story does not have a happy ending, and unfortunately, this is not just a story, it is real life, said Senior Deputy District Attorney Heather Brown. In her opening statements, Brown told the jury that Wallace did what he always did, expecting Preston to survive like she always did. But during this particular beating, Preston succumbed to her wounds while her kids were fast asleep. Preston's family had already informed investigators of how violent and controlling Wallace could be. One of her relatives claimed to have found Preston in the street following a particularly brutal beating while she was pregnant. Meanwhile, Wallace's attorney, Heather Moorhead, is advancing his story that it was all a tragic accident. Mr. Wallace is being accused of something that is not his fault, said Moorhead. You will hear about a relationship that was full of arguing and yelling, but also a lot of love. The defense maintains that Preston drunkenly fell onto a glass table and shattered it. However, police found blood throughout the residence as well as numerous holes in the wall and one door that was off its hinges. Furthermore, Preston's relatives say that Wallace had tried to kill her several times before. Brown told the jury that Wallace himself explained that we were drinking, and during the argument Wallace could catch her. Moorhead said that both Wallace and the daughter carried her into the bathtub, but accidentally hit her head on the way to the bathroom. According to the New York Post, it remains unclear who called emergency services. What is apparent, however, is that Wallace told several people that his wife had suffered a concussion after she hit her head, and only realized that she was dead when she failed to wake up the following morning. But if the jury doesn't believe this defense and he's convicted, Wallace faces up to 25 years to life in prison. He has already been incarcerated since Christmas Day 2011 and remains behind bars on $1 million bail. In 1994, Michelle von Emster was found dead on a beach with her right leg missing. The coroner ruled that she was a victim of a shark attack, but some experts suspected foul play instead. On the morning of April 15, 1994, the mutilated body of 25-year-old Michelle von Emster was recovered from the shoreline around San Diego, California. She was naked with several broken bones, including her neck, and her right leg was missing from her thigh bone down. The state of her body led investigators to believe that she had been killed by a great white shark, but experts familiar with shark attacks immediately disputed this theory. Others posited instead that von Emster either fell from the nearby Sunset Cliffs or was murdered. Even 27 years later, investigators are wondering what really happened to Michelle von Emster and whether something more sinister was afoot in her demise. Born in 1968, Michelle von Emster was a California local all her life and grew up in San Carlos, located just outside of San Francisco. As one of 5 girls in the von Emster family, Michelle would attend and ultimately graduate from the nearby all-girls Notre Dame High School in 1986. Von Emster then went on to study at St. Mary's College, but her university career was derailed when she was diagnosed with cancer. She valiantly beat the disease a year later and celebrated by lighting out to San Diego, where she rented a house in Loma Portal, which was and is known for its breathtaking hilly views overlooking San Diego Bay. But she wouldn't stay in Loma Portal for long. As many Southern Californians are wont to do, Michelle von Emster was a drifter and flitted between her comfortable home on Poinsettia Drive to a downtrodden bedroom in a shared home at 4999 Muir Avenue in Ocean Beach. While some residents described Ocean Beach as bohemian and vibrant, others noted the city's high crime rates, which exceed the national average. Indeed, von Emster lived in a part of town known as the War Zone, which was an ominous portend of things to come for her. While on the outside, von Emster's life was perhaps filled with contradictions. Some saw her as a party girl, while others saw her as a health nut who meditated on the beach daily. One thing was for sure, she loved the ocean and was a free spirit. So much so, in fact, that she seemed to commemorate her lifestyle with a butterfly tattoo on her right shoulder. This same tattoo would help identify her body just a few years later. stadium, they were turned away as they'd purchased the wrong tickets. Disappointed, the two women began driving back to their Ocean Beach house, and on the way back, Von Emster asked Campbell to drop her off at the pier located about 6 blocks away from their house. It was the last time anyone saw her alive. According to Campbell, Von Emster was wearing a green trench coat and was carrying a purse, which was later found more than 2 miles away from her body. The next day, 2 surfers noted that there were seagulls swarming an area near the ocean below Sunset Cliffs. Curious, the surfers went over to investigate, and it was there that they discovered Von Emster bobbing lifelessly in the surf, face down. Von Emster's eyes were found to be wide open, and she was naked, save for her jewelry. When Robert Engel, the medical examiner, described her body, he said that it had large, tearing-type wounds with missing tissue, and that a part of her right leg was missing. Von Emster also hadn't been in the water for long before the 2 surfers found her. Michelle Von Emster's initial cause of death was listed as unknown, and many believed that she had died from a shark attack. Von Emster's body was brought in for an autopsy, which was performed by the San Diego Examiner at the time, Brian Blackburn. According to Blackburn's official report, Von Emster suffered a broken neck, broken ribs, a broken pelvis, and various scrapes and contusions on her face and torso. Blackburn also reported that Von Emster had sand in her lungs, mouth, throat, and stomach, which indicated that she had been alive at the time her injuries were inflicted. Blackburn, who had never conducted an autopsy on a shark attack victim prior to the Michelle Von Emster case, nonetheless ruled that she had died as a result of a great white shark and that blue sharks scavenged on her body after her death. But shark experts doubt this theory. Ralph Collier, a shark expert who spoke to the San Diego Union Tribune upon Von Emster's death, initially believed that the shark attack theory was valid, but when he saw Von Emster's remains, he changed his mind. One of the things that struck me was the condition of the limb. When a white shark bites off part of a limb, the break is clean, almost like you put it on a table saw. What remained of Michelle's femur was anything but. It looked like what happens when you get a piece of bamboo and whittle it down to a point with a knife. The bone came to a point. This type of injury is caused when a bone is twisted under a great deal of force. I've looked at close to 100 photos of cases that I have reviewed over the years, and I've never seen any bones that came to a point. In addition, Collier said that had Von Emster truly been attacked by a great white shark, her femoral artery would have been sliced immediately, making it impossible for her to have taken a breath and inhaled the sand that was subsequently found in her mouth, lungs, throat, and stomach, because she'd have been dead before she could do so. It also bears noting that the Global Shark Attack File does not officially recognize Michelle Von Emster's death as a fatal shark attack. To date, the most popular theory to explain the gruesome demise of Michelle Von Emster is that she was murdered. Investigators did manage to pin down some possible suspects, including a man who Von Emster claimed was stalking her. This man rode a motorcycle and was noted by one of Von Emster's former co-workers, who remember seeing him making several copies of Von Emster's autopsy report and then driving away. Another suspect, however, was a man by the name of Edwin Decker, who went on a date with Michelle Von Emster, but whose romance with her was cut short upon her death. Decker wrote a mysterious yet rather morbid poem after Von Emster's death that made reference to both the alleged shark attack and tearing away of her flesh. While the fall could have killed her, it's unlikely that it would have torn off her leg or explained any other aspect of Michelle Von Emster's gruesome state. But at the 2008 Southern California Writers' Conference, Decker and journalist Neil Matthews pleaded with the San Diego Medical Examiner to reopen Von Emster's case. Dear Dr. Wagner, we are writing to ask you to take another look at the accidental death finding in the case of Michelle Von Emster. We are writers with special interests in the Von Emster case. One of us dated Michelle briefly before her death, and the other investigated the case for a story published in Boating magazine in 1994. We believe Dr. Brian Blackbourne's conclusions may have been biased because others in the community rushed to make a judgment about this being a great white shark attack. Dr. Wagner, who was the San Diego Medical Examiner at the time, ultimately relented. However, while Wagner admitted that there was some questionable evidence, it wasn't enough for him to amend Von Emster's death certificate or to open a homicide investigation. With this ruling, Michelle Von Emster's death remains a mystery, but to this day, people continue to question the official story. Karen Bose was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of her daughter in 2002, but 16-hour interrogation footage reveals something different. 14-year-old Robin Bose was killed in a house fire in 2002, and investigators quickly discovered that this was no accident. The fire was set intentionally, either by the teenager herself or by her mother. Robin's mother, Karen Bose, initially pled guilty to her daughter's murder. She has since gone back on this plea and claims that aggressive police tactics led her to make a false confession. On the morning of July 30th, 2002, a fire was ignited in the home of 14-year-old Robin Bose, shared with her mother Karen, father Wayne, and brother Bill in Zeeland, Michigan. Her mother had allegedly left the house not long before someone reported the fire. She claims to have gone to see her then-husband, purchased an iced tea, and met a friend to shop in Grand Rapids. Robin's brother and father were both at her father's body shop. Around 9 a.m., a passerby noticed flames coming from the home and called the fire department. When the authorities arrived, they discovered Robin on the floor of her bedroom, dead from smoke inhalation caused by the flames. The front of her body was not burned though. Her hair was singed. She wore only underpants and a halter top. Authorities soon discovered the cause of the fire, an empty gas can in Robin's bedroom. The can had been reported missing from the Bose home for several weeks prior to the fire. fire began inside her bedroom. Regardless, gasoline was found sprinkled around and inside the bedroom, and the gas can was found at the center of Robin's bedroom. Two theories quickly emerged. Either Robin had started the fire herself to commit suicide, or her mother Karen had doused the hallway around her daughter's bedroom with gasoline before setting it on fire, murdering her while she slept. Sources close to the family claim that the pair had a volatile relationship and that Karen seemed to hate Robin. Michelle Batima, the mother of Robin's boyfriend, reported that when Karen called her after the fire to tell her that the victim was dead, it sounded like she was delivering good news. Karen Bose was interrogated by Zeeland Police Chief Bill Olney, who was also her neighbor. He told her the interrogation was friendly, that they wanted the same thing, to find out what happened to her daughter. Bose therefore did not call an attorney. "We were friends. I took care of Olney's kids," she stated. Olney and his team interrogated Karen for over 16 hours. Prosecutors subsequently relied heavily on these taped interrogations during the trial. Prosecutors claimed that over the course of the interrogation, Karen gave several different versions of events and stated that she may have killed Robin. It should also be noted that police used a common tactic of lying about evidence to coerce information from the suspect. They told Karen they found her fingerprints on the gas can. Ultimately, Bose confessed on the tapes. She alleged that she had been persuaded by the investigators that she was guilty. She told her husband, "I killed our daughter. I could have easily went insane temporarily for 5 minutes. I must have just went crazy and lost control. The evidence shows I did it. As far as the story goes, I think I got talked into it, and that's okay. I'll take the rap. I'm not going to keep fighting this." Olney has since refused to comment on the interrogation. Prosecutors latched onto the rocky relationship between Karen and Robin Bose. Witnesses cited a recent fight, which involved a family vacation, and a friend the parents of Robin felt was a bad influence to conflate the volatile relationship. Prosecutors subsequently claimed that Karen was violent towards her daughter and therefore capable of her murder. In defense, Karen Bose claimed to have been out of the house when the fire started. Although Robin was a rebellious teenager and they did have a rocky relationship, Karen maintained that she loved her daughter very much, and when she heard news of the fire, she rushed back to the house and said to herself, "I have to get home to Robin. I have to get home to my baby." Karen also agreed to take a polygraph test and failed, which cast doubt on her innocence. However, according to some forensic sources, polygraph tests are often unreliable indicators of a person's guilt. To fail one, though, can cause innocent parties to lose confidence and begin to mistrust their own memories, which can lead to false confessions. Prosecutors went so far as to have a dog, which smelled trace amounts of gas on a chair in Karen Bose's master bedroom, take the witness stand. This practice is no longer allowed in a court of law. Prosecutors also cited Bose's alcoholism, for which she was in AA, and an extramarital affair she had years ago to implicate her as an unstable person. But the evidence was enough to convince a jury. On March 31st, 1st of 2003, Karen Bose was found guilty of first-degree murder of her daughter Robin Bose and sentenced to life in prison. Judge John Holsing, who was the prosecuting attorney on the case, concluded that 12 members of the community looked her in the eye and said, "We find you guilty of murdering your 14-year-old daughter," and consequently has no doubts about her responsibility in the murder. As of today, Karen Bose has served 15 years of her life sentence, but maintains her innocence. According to Bose, her confession was coerced by the police, who intentionally misled her during the interrogations and also never informed her that she was being filmed. Karen says that she denied involvement in Robin Bose's death 303 times. Due to the police's misleading interrogation techniques, Bose became confused and began to second-guess her own memory, which caused her to make some contradictory statements. Attorney Steve Drizzen at the Center for Wrongful Convictions at Northwestern University states of Karen's case, "Karen Bose was the first one on my list of cases that kept me up at night. I'm 100% convinced of her innocence. The story makes no sense at all." According to the Innocence Project, over 25% of cases that have been exonerated due to DNA evidence are the result of coerced or false confessions. Leading interviews, aggressive law enforcement, tricky psychological tactics, failed polygraphs, and mental health issues can all lead to innocent people confessing to crimes they did not commit. Bose claims that she is one of those cases. She is the main subject of a Netflix documentary, The Confession Tapes, by documentarian Kelly Lodenberg, which focuses on the false confessions released in 2017. Karen hoped these tapes would help to clear her name. However, even if she were able to prove her confession was coerced, she has exhausted all of her appeals, and only clemency or governor's pardon can set her free now.